All right, it is 7 minutes past 9. You're watching OTB AM with myself and Owen Sheehan, and Colm Boohig, I believe, joins us on the line now. Morning to you, Colm.
Adrian Barry, your handlebars looking very well.
Thanks very much. You've just got a constant sort of growth going on there, looking cool growth. Come here, listen, we want to talk tennis with you and the ATP Tour finals. And like with the biggest question that I have for you on this one is, with so much actual sport happening over the course of the weekend, why would one tune to the ATP Tour finals?
That's a good question, Adrian. But this is if you like tennis or even a casual fan of tennis, this is the highest level of tennis in its most consumable form. So you have the 8 best men's players in the world playing in 2 groups of 4. It's a round robin. If you lose a match, you can still go through, like Rafa Nadal has done, like Dominic Thiem has done. And in Thiem and Nadal, we have 2 of the 3 best players in the world by far at the moment into the semi-finals this weekend. Also, this weekend, with so much sport happening, you're going to want that Hollywood factor, to the box office drive and factor to get you in. And that's the fact that Nadal is into the semi-finals for the first time in 5 years. And Nadal has never won the ATP finals, despite playing it for 16 years in a row, I think. So there's a lot going on with that.
Sixth time in the semi-finals and never won it. That's bizarre.
6th time in the semi-finals, never won it. You see, usually what happens with Nadal is he's absolutely knackered by this time of year. But 2020 is obviously exceptional. And for 5 months of 2020, there was no tennis played at all. And unlike, say, the Premier League in football, it's very difficult to catch up in tennis, because if you miss an event, it's kind of gone, really. Now, the French Open did reschedule, but for instance, Wimbledon just cancelled. And a lot of events, even if you just look up like the ATP events for the year, they're just cancelled. There's no postponement, they're gone. So the players are kind of playing with what they have left. And that's why you have Nadal, who's slightly fresher. I mean, Nadal won Roland Garros, of course, last month. We talked about it on OTB AM. He's played 1 event since then. That was the Paris Masters, where he lost in the semi-final to Alexander Zverev. So he's pretty fresh, counting all things in and all factors in. So it's probably the fittest he's been at these finals in a long time. And so therefore you would think that he has the best chance of doing it. But with Dominic Thiem, he was a beaten finalist last year. He won the US Open this year. He actually beat Nadal earlier this week in 2 tie breaks. It was a fantastic match, and it really could have gone either way. But with Thiem, when he's on form like he was against Nadal, there's nobody that can beat him. And the best thing as well about these ATP finals is that it's best of 3 sets. So it's over like that. Like, you could have a match that finishes inside an hour, or it could go 2 or 3 hours. And there's a good example of it the other day, where Stefanos Tsitsipas, who's the defending champion, who won it last year, he played a tournament debutant, Andrei Rublev, and both players lost their first match in the group. So the loser of this match between them was out. And Rublev had match point in the final set tiebreak and double faulted. And within 60 seconds, Tsitsipas had won the match and Rublev was out. So that's how ruthless it is. So as I was saying at the start, even if you have a casual general interest in tennis, it's a very attractive proposition. And also, this is the last year it's at the O2 Arena in London after a 12-year run, where Nikolai Davydenko won it in 2009 against Juan Martín del Potro. It's been an extremely popular tournament there in the last decade. I think it sells out every year, but obviously there's no fans this year. As a result, the prize money has diminished by, I think, about $1 million. I was reading in the New York Times the other day. So it's about €1.3 million for the winner this year, where it was about $2.5 million for the winner last year, Tsitsipas. And that's because there's no crowds there. So there's obviously that eerie feeling still, like there has been in every tennis tournament since the return of play. But you are seeing the best players in the world compete. And really, out of the 8 players, 7 of those players are definitely warranted. The only one is Diego Schwartzman, who's really only playing because Roger Federer hasn't played since the Australian Open last January because of COVID. And then subsequently he got knee surgery in June, and he's been recovering since then. Schwartzman, the only thing of note that Schwartzman did this year was reach the Italian Open final, where he beat Rafa Nadal on clay in the semi-final, but lost to Djokovic. Reached the semi-final of the French Open, but that's it. And you can see that he's kind of out of his depth so far. He's lost his first 2 matches. But the other 7 players are the 7 best players in the world. So it's brilliant to watch.
You mentioned Zverev there, and his partner's given a detailed account in a recent interview in the media about domestic abuse and violence. An ex-partner. How is tennis reacting to this? How is the game coping with headlines of this sort about one of its top players?
It's been an awkward response, really, because the ATP have they released a general statement saying, they don't tolerate any abuse of any form and all that, kind of everything you'd expect them to say. But Zverev is continuing to play. He's playing this Friday afternoon, against Novak Djokovic, and the winner goes through to the semi-final. Zverev, needless to say, has completely denied all allegations against him in this interview by his ex-partner Adia Sharipova, with the renowned tennis journalist Ben Rothenberg, who's previously a guest on Off the Ball, actually not too long ago. It was an interview in Racket magazine, and Sharipova went into great detail about the abuse that she claims that Zverev inflicted upon her during their relationship. And it's very difficult reading at times in terms of the examples of what she said he did to her, and some of these allegations occurred during ATP events. Even the US Open last year in 2019, Sharipova claims that she was attacked in the hotel room where all the players were staying during that tournament. So it's a very difficult situation, because Zverev has obviously been asked about it in the pre-tournament press conference for these ATP finals, and there was a wide camera shot of Zverev in this Zoom conference, and he was looking down at his lap and he was reading from his phone a prepared statement, but he was kind of paraphrasing the statement. So he didn't read it verbatim, which was a strange move, because you'd have thought he would have said, look, I can't say much, but I will say this prepared statement. So he was paraphrasing, and he was continuously saying, obviously, I'm going to continue denying that these things happened, because that's not what happened. So it's very difficult. Sharipova said that her close friends at the time kind of didn't believe her that it was happening. And now they do. So where this goes next, I don't know. They're going to continue investigating it, but as we speak, Zverev is very much still playing. He very much denies all accusations made against him, but the accusations are there in print. It's there to read if you just look it up, and it's a very long article, and it's a very grueling read because of some of the examples she uses.
Racket magazine, and we will keep an eye on events there, obviously, as they unfold, and the future for Zverev particularly, and on the court as well over the next few days. Colm, thanks a million. Colm Boohig on the line there, as always. A very passionate voice when it comes to tennis.